Hey, good evening and welcome. This is the November 3rd, 2025 meeting of the school committee. Call the meeting to order 5:01. This meeting is being both audio and video recorded, and I would please ask that everyone rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call. Samantha, if you'd start, please.
Samantha Velasquez, Secretary.
Pamela Blair, Assistant Superintendent for Business.
Antonella Rochella.
Gordon Smith, Superintendent of Schools.
Gregory Thompson.
Carrie Jerzewski.
Heather Brown, Assistant Superintendent for Teaching and Learning.
Anna Flanagan, Student Representative.
Amy DeLenta.
Thank you, Amy. Okay, I have minutes for approval. I would take someone to move.
Can I still make the motion?
Move, you can do it.
Okay. I move to approve the October 2025 regular session meeting minutes.
Motion made by Antonella,
Second.
second by Carrie. Discussion. Favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. Abstentions,
Abstention.
301. Thank you, Samantha, for those. Committee and subcommittee communications. Antonella, would you like to start?
I don't have anything. at this
Okay, Carrie.
I do not have anything.
Anna.
So our school is participating in the Mayflower Marathon, which is kind of a contest with local schools to see how many non-perishable items we can collect for those in need. Girls volleyball just won the Western Mass Championship in their first game of states, so they're on the second round. Our Pink Ribbon Club participated in the Raise a Hope Walk in Springfield. Our business club attended the Massachusetts DECA conference, and Key Club held their annual Halloween happenings event, and a lot of younger children from the community attended. So,
Excellent.
yep.
Do we compete against other schools in volume for the
For what?
marathon, the
Flower.
Number of items,
Number of items, yeah.
items? How we doing?
started today.
Okay.
Oh,
In the lead.
no.
We'll see.
In the lead. So,
Good stuff.
Mr. Thompson, last year, we did not participate in this one, but last year Long Meadow won. We know their number that they won with.
Huh.
Our plan is to just blow that one out of the water.
Good,
Yep.
good.
So we'll beat this answer.
Important this year. Thank you.
All our viewers know. I was just gonna say, now all our viewers know the strategy.
Bring it.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay, with that,
We have it.
Amy, anything for?
Nothing for me today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Pam. We have opportunity for visitors to address the committee. Being none, we will.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, please, come on up.
Are you going? Want me to stay?
Either chair. Have a seat, please.
Thank you.
Just your name, if you don't mind.
I'm Danielle Crescione. I'm do I need to state what
You could, that's all I need to know.
oh,
You can tell me whatever. Yeah.
okay.
Thank you for coming, Danielle.
Thank you for having me. I wrote this down because left to my own devices, I talk too much and I wanted to get this in 3 minutes. So good evening. My name is Danielle Crescione. I am a chess instructor at the Mountain View Elementary School. I'm also the school therapist, but I'm here today as in relation to chess. I have 25 years of experience teaching students from ages 7 to 22 with varied diagnoses from ADHD to schizoaffective disorder. I have worked with more than 80 students, which I do now almost every week. There's 83 kids at Mountain View signed up for the chess club. Children who are bright, curious, full of potential. I'm here tonight to talk about what I'm seeing in that chess classroom, and it has nothing to do with the dedication or the skill of the teachers that are there. The teachers are amazing. They're doing incredible work with the kids. The problem is bigger than any one classroom. I'm witnessing a generation of children who struggle to think critically, solve problems, listen, follow simple 3-step instructions, possess basic social skills, work through frustration, and on a more basic level, explain what they learn each week in the class. Many of them are giving up the moment something feels difficult to them. They want instant answers, instant gratification, but not for the process of discovery. These are the very skills that chess teaches: patience, focus, strategy, consequence, and reflection. And yet these are increasingly absent in the students I have for chess. They are not being challenged. Now I'm seeing it in their handwriting. While learning chess notation, which is an absolute essential skill in chess, many students will tell me it's not their fault. They're not writing anymore. Their writing is messy, it's rushed, and often illegible. Not because they don't care, but because they don't get enough practice putting pencil to paper for various reasons, not just school related. That small detail, though, reveals a great deal about how digital learning and curriculum pacing are transforming the way they think, learn, and most of all, retain the information. But me coming here is not about blame, it's about awareness. The curriculum testing demands, but the pace of technology and the dominance of electronics at home have all eroded a child's ability to slow down, think, and reason. They're living in a constant state of distraction with an attention span that I can see of about 35 seconds. I feel that if this isn't addressed now, this impact is going to be long lasting. At least it will be for the students I have in chess. They will be less equipped to make sound decisions, resolve conflicts, or to think for themselves outside of the chess class and tournaments. They'll struggle, and they are academically, but also emotionally and socially. I'm not suggesting I know the answer. I don't. And it's much more than a curriculum or parents. If you would like to know, I know what does not work. I'm not necessarily, Heather and I have spoken about this. I don't know what the solution is, but I've never seen anything like this in my chess classes. And I also have taught at Tinkham Road. So if anyone would ever like to come to a chess class and just see what it is I'm referring to, you're absolutely more than welcome, more the merrier. I don't have a lot of parent participation, but teachers do come in and help out. And if you have any questions about what I've said, the statements, anything to back it up, certainly you can always reach out to me. And I appreciate the time letting me come and speak. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you coming to.
Hi, everybody.
Christina.
So I'm Christina Cooper, and I am here today as a representative from the public library to talk about something that was discussed at the last meeting. When we're talking about the fall status reports for the elementary schools. And Anta had mentioned, what if we could reach kids earlier for literacy? And the library does have a program already in place called 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten. And I wanted to make sure the school committee knew about this. This is a nationwide program. And what we have is you can sign up online. We have a tracking thing that you can use, or you can just use paper if people don't like to use it that way. And we encourage people from the moment their child comes home, start reading to them and start tracking how many times you read. We tell everybody it sounds like a lot, but you're going to get it done so fast. And the library has at least 1,000 books your kid will enjoy. So if the school committee can think of a way that we can publicize that to the parents who are preschool age and younger, we would love to. We can accommodate every single person in this town to get 1,000 books in their hands before their kids start kindergarten. So that's what I wanted to share.
So they actually go through 1,000 books?
Yes, and you get your picture taken.
Yeah.
You get it when you sign up, you get a free book. When you hit 100 books, 200 books, 300 books, you get a free book. And then when you make it all the way, you get your picture taken with a big sign that said, I did 1,000 books, and you're on our wall of fame.
How do you advertise this now?
We advertise it in the library itself. When you're in the children's department, there's a sign about the 1,000 books, like ask us about it. And we have it in our newsletter. So you have to kind of interact with the library first to know about it. But I would love if we got people to even come to the library because of it, you know, that may not have a library card. They might not just know about us. So.
Great idea.
Very cool.
Yeah. Thanks. I knew.
Thank you for coming. You know, we added you to a committee too.
I do.
Okay.
You're gonna celebrate.
Great. Thank you. Okay, excellent. All right, moving right along, we have presentation of SMART goals from Birchland Park and the high school. Looks like Birchland.
Thumbs up. This is the final two presentations of our fall status report and SMART goals. And yeah, Mr. Pearson and Ms. Ojunga Andrew, ready to roll for the clerk.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Good to see you. We've got the whole team back together this time, unlike the spring. A couple new members. So I'm Steve Pearson. I am the principal.
Natalie Ojunga Andrews, principal.
All right. Thanks for having us tonight. We have some things we would like to share with you. If we can go to the next slide. Okay. All right. So a little bit about our SMART goals, where we were last year, where we are this year, and supporting the whole child is the first one that's up. And that begins and ends with attendance. The way to create success long-term is to have kids in school learning. So that's a big focus for us, obviously. The DESE target is 95%. And as of last week, when I sent this in, we were at 97.4%, which is above the DESE goal. So we're very happy about that. We're even more excited about the gains we made last year in attendance. If you look at our accountability numbers from MCAS, where we went from 12.8% chronically absent down to 4.8%. So that was a smashing success that I have to give a lot of credit to my staff making that happen. You know, our student support team, spearheaded by our student intervention coordinator last year, Trish Pereira, who was just relentless in reaching out to families about not only absences, about tardies. My whole student support team, including my counselors, making sure that everybody had what they needed to feel successful, whether it's mental health issues or struggles that the family was seeing outside of school, to make sure that we were getting kids here. And I could bore you with going through those same steps again for this year's goals. We're going to obviously repeat what was working for us, keep that focus on getting kids into school, reaching out to families, messaging the importance of attendance. But I wanted to share with you tonight a kind of a different way to go about increasing our attendance, because we want to improve even on that 4.8%. So Birchland goes beyond what's just in the classroom experience. We like to think of the full experience of middle school when you come to Birchland. You know, a little bit of that goofy middle school energy and everything that makes it such a special place. So a way that we get kids to come to school is to give them a reason to come to school. Yeah, engaging lessons in the classroom are a big part of that, but it's the entire school experience, which extends beyond 2 o'clock finish time as well. So we put a lot of focus on how kids can get involved in our school and in our school community, and that includes our after-school club offerings. We review them every year. We make sure that we've got a plethora of opportunities for kids, and we want to update them to add things that kids are interested in, you know, today that might not be the same as 5 years ago. So our club offerings are frequently changing, as I probably drive Pam crazy when I email her every year and tell her I want to make a change. So we do have a few new things this year, including a pickleball club. You've got our NJHS that's meeting after school, all to give kids more of a reason to want to be in school, something to look forward to at the end of the day, different group of kids to be involved with, adults to interact with, and to really look forward to coming to school so they can take part in those things. We have makerspace challenges starting up again soon, but it's just to give that full, well-rounded experience. And I think that that's going to go even further than just the relentless letters and phone calls from me about kids that have missed so many days of school. We think that's going to bring us to where we want to be. So attendance, we had some great success. We don't want to rest on our laurels. We want to keep pushing forward with that and see if, you know, we can exceed our targets for this subgroup as well. We can go to our next slide. All right, we have a little bit more to say about supporting the whole child from Ms. Ojunga.
So another way that we wanted to make sure that all of our students feel supported is by tapping into their social emotional learning. And so we're using our advisory program as well as some mentoring groups that we, piloted a few years ago, and also some new ones this year, to really make sure that all students have an opportunity to be heard and also to talk about some different important topics that they need and, to help them be more of a whole child and their well-being and support. So the first part is our advisory program. We have an advisory where students meet with a trusted adult every single morning, but on Thursdays they have extended time, and that's where we utilize that space to really go into more social emotional learning topics, really helping them become more self-aware, learn how to manage their time, and aware about what's going on in social media and how to use that responsibly. Also, talking about relationship skills and how to handle those things and friendships and just making responsible decision making. The students get a lot out of that. We have activities, we have games, but then also deep, rigorous discussions. The other area that we're trying to utilize is our middle school mentoring, our support group. So the last 2 years, we've been working with Maple Shade Elementary School, supporting students at the elementary level that have been identified by Mr. Martin and his team. Students that just need a little extra support and encouragement, helping them feel welcome in, the East Long Meadow schools, helping them feel included and also seen. And so what we're doing is having some of those students come over to Birchland, and then we're picking some of our students who we feel can really benefit from honing in on some leadership skills. And so they get an opportunity to serve as leaders and mentors to some of the younger kids. And it's been very successful. The kids that come into the 6th grade who were part of the mentoring program really have fond memories of that, ask if they could still participate. The mentors really do a good job, and you could just see the growth over time. So it's kind of like a win-win situation. And when those elementary kids come up, they feel more comfortable, they know who we are, they see some familiar faces. So it just goes a long way. So we're going to be doing that again, really excited about that. We're also working in concert with the Academic Leadership Association, which we've been working with for the last 2 years, to create some affinity groups in conjunction also with the new METCO coordinator, and making sure that some of our students who have traditionally maybe have not felt as included or have other issues going on that need some additional support, we're being able to give them that support, as well as recognizing any students who are new to the district. You can always remember how it feels to be new students somewhere. So we don't want them to just throw them into a class and figure out how, make their own way. We want to tap into them, figure out what's working, what's not working, what do they like, what are some things that are coming up that maybe in a larger group they're not comfortable sharing. So we do that in collaboration with the counselors as well. So all of that is just to really help students feel like they belong and they're supported. You go to the next slide.
I just have a
Oh, yeah.
advisory.
Yeah.
How is that curriculum created? Does every advisory do the same thing every week, or?
So it's every 2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, every 2 weeks, I send a lesson, and
Yes.
usually, I have several curriculums I could draw from, but I like to wait till I get some of our school wellness and climate
Yeah.
survey stuff to see where our kids are at before I kind of set a direction. So we've done a couple so far this year, facing your fears,
Mhm.
building community, things like that. Now we have this data. I know next one's going to be on reflecting on grades and decision making and all that. But I kind of have a discussion on my student support team about issues we're seeing at the school. And so I will kind of try and have a very versatile, reactive kind of program for our SEL, make sure those lessons are fitting what our kids need in the moment.
In the moment, yeah.
Yeah, but they all get a lesson from me. The entire school gets it. So I try and keep it so that they can all access it. And it's ready to go for teachers. There's not a ton of planning or stuff. I've done most of the work and provided all the materials for them so they can just roll it out and have a good, robust discussion with their kids around skills they need to build.
Is it like 30 minutes every?
Yes, 30 minutes.
Yeah, every 2 weeks. And on the opposite weeks, that's for that adult to plan whatever bonding activities that they want with their advisory students.
Okay.
So it's not always just totally dictated by,
Yeah.
the leadership, but also, they get a chance to bond really well and have a nice tight group. And as you'll see later in the slide, students feel like they belong, they feel like they have a trusted adult that they can relate to, we give that a lot of credit through our advisory program.
Do they get a different advisory teacher every year?
Yes.
Yeah. If you go to the next slide, so we have just a few charts here. Again, do you have a teacher or other adult from school that you can count on? And you can see that an overwhelming majority of our students say yes. And many of them, they, lean towards their advisor. But the good thing is that other students also go to like a favorite teacher. They come to administration, they come to, a counselor. So either way, we make sure that everyone has some adult, every student has an adult that they can feel that they can rely on and they can trust, they can share. Also, an overwhelming majority of students feel that they are part of the community. So about roughly 92% or so strongly agree or agree in combination that yes, they feel part of the community, whether it be through the mentoring groups or after school clubs, just the way that they engage in the classroom. They feel that they're, some part of their identity is being shared and embraced in the school. So we really honor that. We want to make sure that we continue that in everything that we do. You can go to the next slide. Sorry, the little top part is cut off, but the main piece to here is also, we wanted to share that students feel that that our school is inclusive of all backgrounds and identities. We have so many kids from different backgrounds, nationalities, religions, you name it, just ideas, family histories, and we want to make sure that we showcase that. We want to make sure that kids don't feel isolated in any way or afraid to be who they really are or share what's important to them. And again, overwhelming majority of students feel that the school is inclusive and embraces their individual backgrounds and identities. And we're really proud of that, and we're making sure that we do everything to continue that.
All right, so we're transitioning into teaching and learning. The district focus on the curriculum renewal and supporting staff and adopting those high quality instructional materials and make sure that we're supporting all students in all groups to see that success is a big part of what we're doing. So you can see the metrics we had there for reading and math last year. Our goal and where we actually fell. We were a little short in our reading results, an interesting year in English where we were piloting a few different curriculums, sampling some different units to try to settle on one that we were going to use going forward. We exceeded our goals in math, which we're very proud of. A lot of hard work went into that with our math people. So both our stretch goals and our typical growth goals were exceeded in math. And we want to keep that going this year by really supporting our teachers and using the curriculums that have been approved. All right, so we can go to the next slide here. You can see where we stand. So we're focused on the high quality curriculum. So we're kind of in different places depending on our department. Our ELA is starting Reading Reconsidered, which they voted to select last year from the ones that they did pilot. It is high quality instruction materials recognized by the state. So we're rolling that out this year, going through the growing pains of using a new curriculum and all that that means. Math, a little further along, year 3 of their curriculum, and as is science, which have been doing Open SciEd for a few years now. Even though our grant is done, we're still with Open SciEd. In social studies, we kind of had a shift with our 6th and 7th grade, how we did that to get their the new kind of curriculum in place, and we're fully in place this year, up and running with it, and we're excited to see how that's going to impact teaching and learning for all of our students. So that's a big part of what we're doing this year, trying to support our teachers wherever they're at with the curriculum, includes some learning walks by us and some district folks, including Superintendent Smith and Ms. Brown. So trying to get in those classrooms, see it in action, see what kind of feedback we can give them, be available for them during counterpart times to answer those questions. We're looking now at perhaps going to visit some schools that are doing the new English curriculum that we're doing now, see how that's being rolled out in other districts and what we can take away from that. Because there's going to be some growing pains and we want to make sure that we are giving our students the best we can give them though. Another big part of what we're doing is our school-based PD. Every year we have a focus in our building of what we're going to work on. And we have a monthly professional development series that's delivered either by us and admin or our instructional coaches. So we want to build on what we've had in the past. We've done UDL, co-teaching. Last year was a focus on revisiting the instructional block, making sure that we had all the components, but with the new things that we had in place, like the regulated classroom and all these new practices, making sure that we're not losing sight of the instructional block, but we're weaving new best practices into it as well. So we saw a lot of success with that last year. I think that contributed to some of the improvement that we saw in MCAS, which you'll see shortly. So we want to take that this year and build on that. And this year's focus is a deep dive into data-driven instruction, which is more exciting than it sounds, I promise. So we have some new tools at our disposal this year as we move from Panorama to Open Architect. And we're really focusing on people looking at the data they're collecting. Be very cognizant of what am I collecting? How frequently am I collecting it? What am I actually doing with that data once I've collected it? All right, am I collecting it just because I've been told to, or is it actually actionable data? So we're in the nascent stages of that right now, gathering all that information. But we want to get to the point where data is not something that people are scared of. We want to have kind of a consistent I would say culture of looking at the data and using it as a aha moment. I can use this to improve my instruction. And Ms. Ojung will talk a little bit later about engagement surveys. I know they're using it at the high school as well to also try and tackle that issue. But we don't want people scared of their data, whether it's perceived, good or bad. We want them embracing it and looking at it as an opportunity to improve. So that's what we'll be focusing on this year. Okay, if we can go to our next slide. So this is where we're at with iReady. We took a diagnostic in the fall. You have the last 3 years on display there, and you can see that we're, it's within shouting distance. We're largely pretty much the same as where we were, with a few percentage points difference either way from year to year. So pretty satisfied with that, because usually at the end of the year we end up in a pretty good spot. We can go to the next one. You can see that we're pretty well ahead of our peers, both at the state level and on the national level with how we perform on iReady in the fall, which is a good place to be. And if you go to the next slide, you're going to see similar stuff with math. Again, within the last 3 years, we have fairly similar numbers. And when you compare us on the next slide to the state and the national, we're a little bit ahead of them as well. So you do a good job there. All right, so here we are for MCAS. Last year, we had some pretty good gains with MCAS, both with progress towards the achievement goals that they set for us, but particularly with our growth numbers, which we're always really proud of. We don't set the goals that the state sets, which are based on kids' times we don't have anymore. But I really like to put the focus from my teachers on what we do with the kids that are in front of us right now and how do we move them. So we're always happy to see very high growth numbers. And of course, we got excellent score for attendance, so that helped as well. But the number I'd like to really draw your attention to there at the bottom, the annual criterion reference target percentage. We went from 36%, I believe, in 2024, all the way up to 52% last year. So there were a lot of positive gains there. We want to build on that momentum and hopefully see more big steps as we push through this year. Excited about the stuff we have in place. Yeah. Next slide. Thank you. All right. So here's the one again I like to really harp on with my teachers is when we're looking at growth. What are we doing with the kids that are in front of us? We want to meet our typical growth goals, but we want to be on the typical growth high side. So if you're looking at our ELA numbers, we hit the high side in every single category except 2. And one of them, we missed it by 0.5 percentage point, and the other one, we missed it by less than 2 points. So a little bit of room to improve there, but we're pretty excited about the high growth numbers, considering we were also piloting some different units last year. Looks like some of our interventions worked. What our classroom teachers were doing at the tier 1 level was being effective. So we're pleased with that. We're doubly pleased with our math scores, which we did really well on. We hit high growth or exceeded growth in every single category. You know, I would like to say that our math department's probably a little bit ahead of the rest of our group with the data-driven instruction. We've really been pushing this, looking at the data, tracking data over multiple points to see how kids are doing in math from year to year and which program we're going to recommend them to. So I think that you're seeing that play out there, and we got to keep building on that momentum as well. So we're really thrilled with the math progress.
I have a question. How are the math teachers with the curriculum? Because you said this is the 3rd year that
Yep.
they've had the new curriculum, and this is year 1 for English.
Yep.
How many years has science had Open SciEd?
SciEd was before me, so I think they're fourth year into Open SciEd. Yeah.
And in any of your data walks or data collection, have the math teachers, or have you seen the math teachers be implementing the curriculum more?
Yeah, well, that's the push that we're doing. We go through there and sometimes it's a mixed bag. They've been using it for a lot of years, so they're pretty opinionated on what they think works and what they think doesn't work, or they want to go back and reteach something. So I was just at the math department meeting to discuss this very topic for this month's department meeting. And it's a work in progress. I mean, they're getting results, but we want to see faith to the curriculum because it is a much bigger push about how we think about math than just pushing the scores. And this is one of those things around data that we're trying to not make it weaponized, and they're scared that they're going to see a dip in the scores if they stick to the pacing guide. So
Right.
a lot of conversations about why they want to mix certain things up, why they got to be off, because they need to go back and reteach things because they feel the students didn't get it. But I am putting a big emphasis this year on illustrative math and making sure, because this is also something that's going to carry over from elementary all the way up.
Yeah.
It's about developing those thinking skills, those habits, those mathematical approaches. And it needs to be consistent rather than we do it most of the time here and then it's a little bit different here and it's even more different here. We're trying to get a little bit more continuity there. While I say they've seen some nice gains, and they have, I really want to see that we're in lockstep with what everybody else is doing in the district. So it's a work in progress.
I wasn't sure if there was anything that the math teachers were doing, or if they had like more planning time or anything like that.
But we have a lot of time.
More progress in math.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of time and we have an excellent department chair there. I mean, there's not a wasted minute. So like when we're tracking kids throughout the year for the large data sheet where they're tracking everything from iReady diagnostic scores to MCAS scores, historically going back 3 years, mastery check scores, attendance, term grades, all of that to kind of get the full picture of where a student stands. So we say, are they ready for algebra? Are they ready for pre-algebra? So we have a lot of data points that we can rely on. When they have math department meetings, they are constantly doing item analysis to see where did we struggle against the state, which areas did we see our gains, how we taught that. This is something that was taught at what point in the year, which is why they want to mix up some of the pacing sometimes to have certain topics hit right before MCAS. They seem to come up more frequently. So they are amazing at looking at data. I need to get those practices spread everywhere, but they are leading the way with that right now. We want to build on that. And I think that goes a lot towards the gains that you see there. But again, this is a process that is district-wide about mathematical thinking. And it's beyond and more than just coming up with the right answer, but it's about the process and how we persevere and how we tackle this problem solving that we need to do. And it needs to be consistent all the way through.
Okay.
All right, we have one more goal, Ms. Jung can speak to.
Last goal is on inclusive and supportive culture and climate. We want to make sure, like we mentioned briefly earlier, that we want to make sure that all students feel included and as a part of the community. And some of the steps that we're doing, again, I'm not going to go too deep into it. Again, I mentioned the middle school mentoring and the support groups, as well as the affinity groups with the ALA. And the new student groups, just to make sure that everyone feels that they belong in the community at Birchland. But we also want to hear their voice. I think a bigger part of this piece is that we want to hear the student voices. So really get their feedback and then act on that feedback. The same thing we're doing in the student council, diversity club. We want to make sure that we engage with them, not just they have their meetings and they share out what they want to share, but we actually hear what do they feel, what's important, what is it that they want us to learn about, and and to make our school better. Because of course the students have to live it every day. So we want to make sure that they share their feedback. And then the last piece is that we're asking, this will be new, we're excited about this, is that we're going to start giving twice yearly surveys to students in classes. The teachers are going to administer this so that the teachers can get immediate feedback from their students around the level of engagement in the instruction in the classroom. And then they can act on that. As opposed to, coming from us, this is coming directly from the students. We're not involved in this. And this is something that instead of having it blended in like an overall wellness survey, with the academic piece kind of merged in, you don't really know, does that have anything to do with my class, what I'm doing, or is that because what you like happening in art class or whatever? This way, each teacher gets their own feedback and then they can take action on that. So we're really looking forward to that. That, can impact the instruction that we see when we do our walkthroughs and also engage with our teachers and department meetings and things like that.
Now, we had a lot of teachers already doing this kind of stuff on their own, but
Yeah.
again, we want to get a culture, school of doing this and making it a habit to get this feedback and not only get it, but then act on it. So there will be a reflection piece when they're in the department. We're careful to say that we're not evaluating on it. They're going to work on that with their department chair to get that feedback and think about what they want to do with it. And then when we get the numbers in the spring, they can see if their plan was successful or not.
We're pretty excited about the ownership that they're taking, because that was something that came out of our leadership retreat back in August. The challenge will be, given that the feedback's going right to the teacher, is how we report out on it to all of you, because they're going to get their feedback. The department chair will get more of generalized feedback. We might be able to report out on some of that, but we really wanted it to go, just as Mr. Pearson was saying and Ms. Ojunga Andrew were saying, to the teacher so that they can start to act on it and that they're not seeing it as evaluative from
Right.
us, from our standpoint.
So you guys don't see the student feedback?
Nope, unless they choose to take a picture of the results and put it in their teach point. No, I've stressed that, we're not going to, there's a lot of fear that it was going to be evaluative. So
Yeah.
Had our department chairs met, they looked at a bunch of sample questions, decided would be most effective, give them good feedback, and they're already set that they're going to deliver it every teacher in every single class out, get that feedback, and it's on their agenda for the next department meeting to look at their results and do a little bit of a reflection piece on.
So that will actually be one of the greatest benefits too, is that they will be able to, in a general way, discuss it at a department meeting, where they seem to all feel pretty comfortable sharing that. That's
Would they have to upload any reflective practice in their seat or anything like?
They'll have the option to. Again, I'm telling them, I'm not looking over their shoulder to see your numbers, but if there's something you're proud of or something you want to show as progress towards your goal, certainly you can add that to your teach point.
Each point, yeah. All right.
Any questions for us?
Are you still doing the coaching? Because I know that you guys were.
Yeah, well, we've had to scale back a little bit, but we do have coaching. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have the coaches with us full time. But yes, they are still available. They're still working with teachers on request. They're supporting us a great deal in the curriculum and trying to get people, in line with pacing and making sure that we're doing it with fidelity. But yeah, it's a little bit of a scale back. We miss them a little bit because their coaches were essential to everything we're doing. Still working hard. Got some good coaches.
We still go to our teachers' counterpart times and so
Big part in our learning walk.
with us every week
Yeah.
for our leadership meetings. So it's really good that we still have access to as much access to them as we.
And they still help us deliver
Yeah.
on data-driven instruction. They're kind of doing those professional development sessions with me. So yeah, they're still essential.
Yes.
They're just now stretched across 3 buildings.
Yeah. So sometimes can't be here today. We'll do it next week. Yeah. Any other questions?
No.
All right. Well,
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Presentations up on the big screens behind me. And we have Long Meadow High School. I think we have Mr. Wright and we have Mr. Page. Ms. Blaine, I believe, is home sick.
Right? Manage it. Is that fine?
Yeah.
I just asked because I was gonna go through IXL and see if you're toggle if I'm the one doing it.
My pleasure.
They can control.
Sounds good.
CO conference or conference 2?
CO conference.
All right, so for the high school's presentation, Gary's going to start us off. He's going to talk about supporting the whole child, which focuses primarily on attendance and chronic absenteeism. And then I'll take us home on goals 2 and 3, which will also hit on the high school's MCAS data. We get into goal 2.
The short-winded goal here is to get all of our rates below 10%. Feel like we made some good progress with a couple of areas with our chronic absenteeism. But we want to see everything below 10%. The biggest way that we're doing that is really it's direct communication between parents, and generally speaking, it's Ann or myself. We're layering in accountability, and then we're scheduling opportunities for parents and students to meet with the support staff that might be appropriate for that situation. And so it's a very straightforward approach, really information seeking, information sharing, and then offering support just to get us to a place where all of our groups are seeing their chronic absenteeism rate below 10%. Go to the next one. So at this point, we're about 0.2% above where we were last year with daily attendance. Pretty identical numbers. Anecdotally, we are seeing an impact of our work last year with our period by period attendance. We had, I think it was around 1,200 different warning emails that we sent last year around attendance. And that we've concluded the first quarter, and I can say anecdotally, it feels considerably less. We aren't informing parents as much about the policy. We field a few questions, but generally speaking, we've inserted the kids a little bit more in the front lines where we talk with them about their attendance before we even reach out to the parents, and that's helping a little bit. So parents are more informed this year, so we haven't had as many questions. And I think the kids really understand that how closely we're monitoring their attendance. And so we see kids getting to class more consistently. So we'll have some numbers for that later this year.
Okay, so second goal is focused on teaching and learning. This is something that we've been building towards for the last few years, where we administer our diagnostic 3 times a year, similar to what you see at the elementary schools. We started doing this with grades 9 and 10. The first one that we ran this year was back in the month of September for all students in grade 9, and this year for the first time, all students in grade 10, not just the one in standard level offerings. This first slide just outlines or highlights how our students performed on that first diagnostic. IXL did tweak their diagnostic format a little bit this year from how they ran it last year. But for the most part, this does give us a snapshot of where our students currently stand in grades 9 and 10 in terms of being either at grade level, above grade level, below grade level, or significantly below grade level. So obviously we can see that we have some work to do. However, I will say we do see the goals below as achievable based on last year's data and how our students performed by the end of the year. So when we ran that diagnostic with our students in grade 9 at the end of the year last year, and also our grade 10 students, when it came to the math data, we were sitting right around 60%-ish of our students achieving grade level proficiency. This year we want to stretch that and push it to 70% for both grades 9 and grades 10 for achieving that proficiency level. And what we're focusing in on here is the specific strand, the content that they're learning during that grade level. So when students in grade 9 focusing on grade level proficiency in the algebraic strand, which is the course that the majority of the freshmen take. Grade 10, that grade level proficiency in geometry, which is the course that most sophomores take. So we want to make sure that when they get to the end of sophomore year, traditionally, they have all the skills required for 1, prepare them for the MCAS test, then also 2, prepare them for their next level of math, which is typically algebra 2.
I have a question about.
Yep.
So the 10th grade, I just want to make sure I understand. Their fall IXL math test, it was only on geometry.
No, it was across the board. It was on all strands. So if you look at the levels on the right, that's
it shows right here.
So you can see how they performed on each strand. On that right side there. So you have geometry, stats and probability, functions, algebra, and then numbers and quantity.
So these 10th graders were 9th graders last year.
Yep.
And was this at the end of year result as well?
So if I can jump over here.
Because this is, if I'm right, I just want to make sure that 86% of students are below grade level.
So last year,
10th grade.
this is, I can't explain it. I wish I could. But if you look at the algebraic strand, so we're focusing in on what kids were performing in that course, like all year, right? 69% of our students, according to the IXL data, were at grade level in May. Why that number is so significantly below in the fall, I don't know what summer. I don't think the system is going to jump them from a 9.9 to a 10.0, and it's significantly different. But you do see that significant drop from where they performed on the algebraic strand in the spring to where they are performing on it in the fall. I don't have a great answer for that one. It is.
That's why I was like.
Yeah.
Do you have comparative data to other schools who use this to see if they have the same kind of
This is a new assessment this year.
Yeah, they have tweaked the assessment, so I don't have that comparative data. And unfortunately, it doesn't exist in the system where I can naturally pull it. So, but
The thing we learned with the iReady though is that the green are kids who are coming in with, for example, 10th grade skills already. The yellow are kids who have those 9th grade skills and are ready for the 10th grade. And then the red, instead of being far below, are probably a year below. So everything shifts with the color coordination in the beginning of the year. So it looks a lot more frightening often in the beginning of the year. And like Frank said, that they turn it around.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Heather, just based on what you know, I know we don't have any data right now, comparatively speaking to other towns, districts, et cetera, but would you say that other towns would be experiencing similar numbers like this? This seems really concerning.
Yeah, so then if you look at our MCAS data, not obviously last year was hard because of the change in the law, but if you look at the DART dashboard and look at the trends in terms of districts that are comparable to us, we're in pretty much in the middle there. So in terms of comparative districts, we're not far behind. We're not extremely ahead. And for the MCAS, IXL is hard to measure because
So, and I
they
do,
don't have that comparison data. They don't have norms for this either, I asked. They only have it for younger kids.
yeah, and I did pull some information on the math MCAS data, which I do see as a positive. I did not put it in the presentation because I don't want to look like I was hiding the accountability data. But I think there's some information that we can definitely highlight where we're seeing some positive of our students when it comes to some of the strands and the standards.
Mhm.
That I'll talk about when we get later into the presentation.
Despite the fact that it dipped.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
so I was trying to come up with a way to take that variable out of the equation and try not to look at year by year data because it's obviously skewed when you add such a huge variable in last year. But I think there's information that you can pull data which does show our students perform well. So
It's interesting, given the previous presentation of growth in math at the middle school level also.
yeah, to what Antonella is talking about, it is odd. I don't have a great explanation for why students on the algebraic strand in the spring, 70% of them were at grade level when we left in May. And then when you look at the algebraic strand here, it's sitting right around 20% in September.
We're also comparing iReady to IXL.
Well, I'm comparing IXL to IXL.
Well, he's
Oh, I see.
nine to
Ninth
10.
10th, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I asked. I was like, was this only on geometry skills? Because that's
Yeah.
what they take in 10th grade. So I was like, maybe it was because of that, but
Mhm.
they look at everything. They look at the same things.
So that yellow bar so that's typically one grade below. So that yellow bar is a cohort of students who are still performing that grade 9 level in some capacity. So they're either 9 through 9.9 grade level.
Is the math department taking a look, like drilling into this survey and the instrument and sort of seeing if they can identify pockets of things they can work on or?
So I will hit on that.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll get into how we're going to be utilizing IXL and help. Yeah. So far.
Mr. Page, may I ask one more question, please?
Yeah.
Do you think part of it is kind of like a cultural thing at the school? Like, as MCAS was no longer kind of at the forefront of kiddos' minds last year, just because they knew it was going away, for graduation requirement. Do you think it's kind of like this culture of kids maybe rushing through the test, or maybe it's, could be a little bit skewed because of that? I'm just wondering, there's such a huge discrepancy there, and just maybe thinking about how the culture of, taking a test like that can move in a different direction in East Longmeadow, just because this, I don't get as concerned about MCAS data, to be honest, but this kind of data I think can be really useful.
Yep.
Sorry to interrupt, except that on the ELA side, you don't see the same sort of results.
No.
So if it was similar, I would say then maybe it could be attributed to how the testing environment and how they're treating it, but.
Yeah. And that's so when we jump to the ELA, the numbers are obviously much better. And when you break it down with some of the specific courses and even the specific, we have some students who are performing really well. This one I've struggled with in terms of trying to fully understand and explain how the kids performed on it. And when I've had these conversations with the math department, and which I'll jump back to that one, but Ms. Talenta, I don't have a great answer on that piece of that testing environment, but that's obviously part of the conversation that we can look at as well.
Do they take this in their math classes?
Yep.
And is there any kind of messaging to the students? Like, what is the message to the students about these tests?
So we explained it to them. It's a diagnostic.
Yep.
So it's an idea of getting, where they stand in the course and where we can both assist them both on an individual level, but also as a cohort in terms of areas so the system will give us those those trouble spots, it calls it, where there's, cohorts of students who perform weak in certain questions or certain types of questions. So it's informative for their teaching practices. Our teachers use the program a lot beyond just with the diagnostics, so the students do know, how the program works before they go into it. It's not like it's just like one-time test and then that's it. Teachers use it as activators. They use it for homework, classwork activities. So it's definitely a supplement to the Reveal curriculum beyond just that one-time diagnostic. Gonna jump to ELA. Okay. Yep. So the ELA data does look better. We do have that same benchmark. We're trying to get at 70% above grade level by the end of the year. Obviously, our freshmen came in scoring really well. Already have them at 63%. So that's a great starting point for our students in the fall. And then obviously our students in grade 10, a lot of them are at grade level, which is great to see. But we do want to continue to push that other 51% to try to move them to that proficiency level by the end of the year as well. And just because this conversation came up, and this is why I asked if I could just take the screen over for a minute, just to understand and explain to people how we're utilizing IXL. So I think there's a number of different ways it's being utilized, and it's not just as a diagnostic. Diagnostic gives us some great information, but obviously once you have that information, you have to do something with it, or you're just testing the test. So what I would just want to do is jump into how the program looks when you log into one of the teacher accounts, so you can see what their dashboards look like, where it will, give those recommended skill plans for students to work on, both at the classroom level and also the individual skill plans, which you see on the right. So what I have there on the right side of the screen is a snapshot of a student's skill plan where they took the diagnostic, and it tells them where their levels are, tells them how they scored in each strand. It also gives them a recommended list of skills to work on in order to improve their standing within the course. So teachers can assign that. A lot of times we use that and it gets assigned in our foundations courses, academic skills courses. And at times our teachers who are teaching those core content areas like algebra and geometry are also utilizing that as well, where they might see a topic or an area of deficiency where they'll assign a specific skill for the kids to work on until they get to that level of proficiency within the system. So if I just jump in, and I did talk to Ms. Goda first, let her know I was going to be using her account. So she is one of our English 10 teachers, but she's also a co-teacher in our academic skills course for that targeted group of sophomores who were identified at the end of last year who might need that additional layer of support in math or English or both. Just looking at the screen, you can see the suggested skills. So those suggested skills.
I'm so sorry.
Oh.
Open the door because.
So those suggested skills can either be assigned by the teacher or they can be assigned by the system based on, the student's diagnostic and how they're performing. The teacher can also create what they call group jams, where the students can collaboratively work as a class on a specific skill or topic. And then if I look at their analytics piece too, I was talking about the trouble spots before. So after the students complete the diagnostic, it's these groups of students, which I had on the slide, which will show you areas where you might see that cumulative weakness, whether it's a small group of kids, it could be 4 or 5, it could be a group of 20 or 25 that the teacher can assign and work on those skills to build at a grade level.
So the ELA teacher, she's using this data.
Yep.
But you also have that foundations course as well.
She teaches both a English 10 course and also the foundations, and typically the kids who are in her foundation. For the sophomores, we call it academic skills. It was an MCAS prep. We moved away from that name and we switched to academic skills when the state took away that accountability piece. She co-teaches that with a math teacher. So they alternate between math and English on any given day. So the students that she has both in her standard level English courses, some of those students are also in that academic skills course to remediate and work on those skills. So, sorry, I don't know if I answered your question.
So I guess I'm asking, is the main purpose of those foundations classes?
Yep.
Is it to narrow the gaps? Like
Yes.
to use this data in there so that in an ELA class or Algebra 1 class, they're still able to stay with the curriculum
Yeah.
because this stuff is getting handled in the foundations.
This is a plus more for the foundations and the academic skills for the sophomores. It's that core plus more model where they take their traditional algebra class and then the math and the English teacher who are co-teaching that course with that identified group in the freshman and sophomore year are trying to close that gap for that group of students who might need that.
Okay.
Right. So, yeah, so that just generally outlines how we're utilizing the IXL program. I just want to stress it's not the curriculum. It's a supplement to the curriculum. We still are obviously using that real curriculum that we purchased and put into place for Algebra 1 geometry and Algebra 2. But this, I think, has been a great supplement, and I think it does help build those proficiency skills those skills of our students to proficiency levels. So.
And does everybody have access to this, the dashboard?
They do, and I did request this last year, and I appreciate the district stepping up. We've actually purchased this district for the entire school this year. Last year, we only had it for all of grade 9 and a portion of grade 10. But our teachers saw the value and they were asking for it for all English students and all math students. So we now have access to it in grades 9 through 12. It does go all the way to AP Calculus. So it's not just a rudimentary math program.
I mean, this is the benefit. I mean, at the end, when we look at MCAS, we're just at a situation where we're seeing the data afterwards and the kids are already moving to the next grade. This gives you an opportunity to actually correct the problems before they get to the next grade. So I can appreciate that much more than just taking a test and we'll wait till they send us the.
Could part of it also be like a disconnect between the curriculum and what it's assessing?
So obviously IXL is not the reveal curriculum.
Right.
We do have skill plans tied to the state standards and if our teachers choose the reveal curriculum. So if they're on, like, say, lesson 3.4 in reveal, and they're trying to hit on, I think that one's, it's not functions, but anyway, when they're hitting on that lesson, go into IXL and say, okay, let's go to the reveal part of the curriculum, assign that skill of what we're working on today, work on that skill until you hit the proficiency level. How that works within the system is students will answer questions. When they get it right, they get 3 points. When they get it wrong, they lose 8. And you just keep building all the way up until 80%. So when the students are demonstrating that they know it, they'll keep building that number until they hit that 80%. So it is, it can be aligned and is aligned to that reveal math.
You can also use it proactively and figure out the prerequisite skills that they are going to need to be successful in that unit and then assign those ahead of time.
Do kids get any kind of grade for completing this or do anything with this?
For the diagnostic or for just using the program?
Both, I guess.
So we try to avoid using a grade for the diagnostic, but the teachers do utilize the program and do get grades for the program in the foundations course, academic skills course, and sometimes also within their core content classes.
Just because I'm trying to think of, like, is there any incentive for these kids to really try on this?
Yep.
Even if they just got a completion grade or something like that. And also with that, so are they getting grades in their foundations class for this or their ELA or math class or both?
Both. Not for the diagnostic, but they do for some of the other assignments that are assigned.
Mm-hmm. And do the other classes like ELA or Algebra 1, do they have common assessments that they also might look at that are standards based and,
Math or English.
oh,
So yes to both. Uh, in Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2, they do use the same exams. Not just, final midterm exams, but also each test is the same.
Okay.
In English, with the Odell curriculum now, they also do have those cumulative assignments that they're all commonly doing in each of those classes. And then if we're also just going to hit on science, they're doing the same with their assessments as well, both in tests and also with labs. So, and I just bring that in just because that's another MCAS topic.
because I'm just curious if we would be seeing the same kind of data, looking at those kinds of assessments as well.
Yep.
Would we be seeing that this many kids are at grade level or not, or they're able to complete the assignments?
Yep.
Like looking at what their student work is actually showing. So.
Yeah, I will say, and I really struggle with that first round of diagnostic data and how to analyze it for math. But we've had some students who have gone through some level changes and students might have been struggling. And I've pulled some of the IXL data for those individual students, and it's been spot on based on some of the stuff that we've been seeing. And I'm saying that anecdotally, it was like 4 kids.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about the entire cohort of 400 in freshman, sophomore year, but where we've seen kids who are struggling in certain content areas, we're seeing more performances in these out as well. So as I mentioned before, I have some other information that I think will help us better understand some of the accountability data, but I didn't want to not put some of this information up. Obviously, we saw some progression in our achievement and our growth data this year, where we also did not earn the points that we've earned in the past towards that accountability data, which is frustrating. I'll just say I'm personally frustrated that the state still held this level of accountability to a test where it changed on us in terms of its accountability with the students in the middle of the year, but it is what it is.
Especially if you were school of recognition last year.
Yeah. Thank you, Ed. So it is frustrating looking at the information and how they rated us, but at the same time, I think there is some value in some of the data that we did receive, even if it's not necessarily some of that year-to-year data when you add in that new variable of the MCAS test. So just jumping over to the achievement data for ELA. So this is one where I think we saw the biggest drop. And when I dug into our performance against the standards, when we're comparing ourselves to the entire state, I think out of the 3 content areas, this is the one that we probably have a little work to do when it comes to our MCAS data. So overall, our students performed above the state average on this past spring's MCAS. However, when it came to the questions that were open response or writing is where we fell below the state average. And I think that's one that we have to look at. We're about 5 points below the state average. So this is one where we also saw the most significant drop from 2025, 24 to 25. And it's also the only one of the 3 where we're below our 2023 data, which is interesting because that 2023 achievement did still have that test count, So in math and science, we were right at our 2023 levels, which I'm okay with. But this is one that we're actually below that 2023 level. So this is one that I think we have to really dig into. Math, again, you see the drop from 505 to 501 overall, and you see some drops in each of the subgroups. When you look at our performance against the state, and the reason I'm looking at those numbers is because it's hard to make those comparative conclusions from year to year with that variable being introduced last year, but you can make those comparisons with some of the state data. So if I'm looking at that one, just jumping to it, give me a minute here. And I want to highlight this on math because I did see it as where was it? This pile, sorry, I got two piles here. So on the math, we're above on all items against the state average. So all types of questions in the three different question types, we're above the state average. In the 16 domains, we're above the state average. And then in 32 out of the 35 clusters, we're above the state average. So all those things I see as a positive for us on the math side. And also we were 0.1 off from where we scored in 2023, where our data was obviously counted. So I did see some positives on the math side. And then when I jump over to science, that last group, you do see the drop from 2024 to 2025. But when I look at us against the state averages, we actually, this is the content area where we perform the best. We're almost double digits above almost every area in the science MCAS. So 9 points above the state average overall. Under question types, we're at constructive responses, 12% above, select responses, 9% above. You look at the clusters, 4 out of 5 categories, we were double digits above the state average. And then the scientific practices, we were 10% above the state average. So this is one where I'm looking at this, try not to look at the 2024 data. I'm trying to look at us against the state and also where we were 2 years ago. I'm feeling okay about it. But it's frustrating when you just see those zeros on the right, that you don't get that kind of recognition when you are doing so well against the state. So. Okay, before I go on at MCAS questions.
Questions?
Yep.
These are drops.
Yep.
And I'm looking at the ELA students with disabilities. And it went down 15 points. What does that program look like? How are our SPED students scheduled? Like, what kind of supports do we have in place for that? Or
So are you comparing to the 2024 data or?
yes.
Yeah, so when I'm looking at this one, where I had the most frustration was where we saw us performing the lowest against the state average in the writing content, which is I think what dragged down our scores. And I know that's an area where we have to improve. But are we looking at specific special education programming in our English courses?
Well, I'm just looking at like the students with disabilities. It went down 15 points.
Yep.
So what does our program look like? And how are we supporting those kids?
Yeah, so talking about students with disabilities who are in our ELA courses, we have an inclusion model, right? So we typically have either students who, they have B-grid paraservices where we have paraprofessional support in those spaces, or we also have that co-taught model where we have special educators who go into those spaces as well. We are, again, utilizing the Odell curriculum, and that's what's this is that third year of implementation. 2 years ago, we started the process. Last year, we started that partial implementation. This should be the first full year of implementation for Odell. What I do like about Odell is you do want to have that common experience for our students. So whether you're in, teacher A's class or B, they're going to have that same lockstep approach where at the end of that unit, and typically assessments are the anchors to ensure that curriculums are commonly taught. They do have those anchor assessments at the end that typically have that writing component to it. Because when I'm looking at our scores, I'm seeing writing as our area of weakness. So with that focus in Odell on writing it for that cumulative task where it's no longer just a test, but it's some type of writing assessment or project, I think is where I see our students hopefully benefiting from that and seeing these scores improve, because writing is the area where I would want to focus.
So are there any action steps in place right now? Like, do ELA teachers or math have any time in the schedule to analyze data or? Oh,
Yeah, part of the day is working on that. But yeah, we usually use release days, right?
Yeah, it's also built into departmental time. At the October department meetings, I met with both the math and the English departments to analyze the diagnostic data and talk about how to utilize IXL in their classes. I have not met with them to break down the MCAS data yet. My focus was on the diagnostic in October.
I mean, I think long standardized tests for all students, but students with disabilities, like I guess I would want to compare how that looks like across the state, but like you can
Dropped
disaggregate.
significantly across the state and
Yeah. And you can disaggregate the Excel data to look at students with disabilities, to see how they're performing, to see if there's anything there, any equity gaps, not just with that population, right?
yes, yeah. There were drops in ELA across, there were drops with the ELA across the collaborative. There's drops with MCAS across the collaborative schools, all 7 collaborative schools. And I will just say, I've looked at different ways to try to analyze this data to have something where I can make sense of. And for me, the big takeaway from what I'm seeing in all of the different scores, our focus should probably be on writing. So. And that's for all students, not just students with disabilities, not just our high need students across the board. We have to find a way to incorporate that more into our classes to improve those skills. So last slide, just some of our fall survey data. I'm a big fan of utilizing this data in years, but obviously we switched programs this year. We went away from Panorama and we're doing it more in-house. So I see this as kind of that reset button and using this as our baseline for some of these questions. But I will say that for our first data set, I'm happy with the results. That red bar and the 2 charts on the right is actually a positive. So if you're looking at the questions, do you have a teacher from the school who you can all count on? That was at 90%. My school is inclusive of all backgrounds and identities. Our students responding to that one at 90%. And I feel like I am part of my school community. Students respond to that one positively at 88%. Those numbers we had those same questions on the survey last year. And all of those percentages are above what we scored last year, which is great to see. Obviously, there's always work to do. We have a lot of different committees and groups in the school. Try to give students an opportunity to provide feedback and feel like they're included, and also engage in leadership opportunities, because I think that's really where they feel fully involved in the school. The one thing we are doing that's our biggest action step on this goal that's different this year is those departmental surveys where they're getting those student engagement formative feedback over the course of the year. We used to always task our departments with doing surveys at the end of the year to see how the year went. That's just an autopsy. It doesn't help the kids who are in front of you now. So the 2 surveys that they're going to be completing are going to be in November and March, where it's formative, things going in our spaces. I've tasked our departments to come up with surveys that are short, quick hitting. So the kids aren't, because obviously they take a lot of classes. So like 3 to 5 questions. One of those has to be open-ended. And the idea behind that is just check in on how kids are doing. I call them like state of the unions, state of the classroom. How are things going? So, but just like Mr. Pearson said, these are not evaluative. We're not collecting this data. It's not a gotcha for our teachers. It's an opportunity for the kids to have a voice in the class and provide feedback for how things are going.
Pretty good. Questions, confidence. Right. Thank you both for coming tonight.
Talk about it, Grant, but you can go.
Okay.
Way to stop sharing.
Sure.
Unless you'd like to share something else.
I got nothing else, but I know we can talk about grants.
We do grant coming up after
Yeah, just
one recognition.
Should I stay here?
Yeah, you can stay there.
And I can sit back.
You're good.
You'll be right up. We have a recognition of Food Service Director Lori Paul for the Massachusetts School Nutrition Association Volunteer of the Year, the SNAMIs.
Isn't that nice? So Lori's very, very involved with the School Nutrition Association. A few years ago, she won Director of the Year. This year, she won Volunteer of the Year. Lori runs a great program. Unfortunately, she couldn't be with us tonight. We did invite her here, but she wasn't able to join us. And what they do say about Lori is that she has been a devoted and dependable member of SNA of Massachusetts, always ready to lend a hand whenever needed. Whenever serving in an official role or volunteering behind the scenes, she's one of the first to step up and support events, committees, and fellow members. Her dedication and positive spirit embody the best of SNA of Massachusetts. So again, we just wanted to let everyone know about Lori getting this award.
Yes.
Thank you, Lori, for all you do.
Very cool. Thank you.
Congratulations, Lori.
She was actually honored, and she did attend their banquet, which took place in Worcester back on the 21st. You have a snippet from the program there, from the SNAMIs.
The SNAMIs.
Right? Isn't that cute?
You have a speech?
I don't believe she had a speech.
I don't think she did. Not for this one. I think when she won the Director
Oh,
May have had a little-
Year Award that year.
yeah, cool.
She does a great job.
Yes, she does.
But thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we have up next the acceptance of the Connecting Activities Grant.
Yeah, so we invited Mr. Page up here. It is a high school grant, so I'll let him talk about it for you.
Yeah, so this is a great opportunity. We were reached out to back in August where workforce,
Yeah, I've got it here. Mass Hire Hampden County Workforce Board.
yes. So they actually received this grant on behalf of all the schools in Western Massachusetts and allotted money to each of the different districts. They basically just said, hey, we have $4,000 for you, which is awesome, right? So then Mark Macarini is one that we tasked with this as our career counselor. And he met with them to find out exactly how the grant worked and what we had to do to receive the money. So basically the whole idea is to find different opportunities for students to engage in workforce in the Western Mass community. What we have found in talking with them, the best way to utilize this, because a lot of the places that we can send kids to are free, and some of the different trainings and tutorials are at no cost, but it's about getting them there. So the big chunk of this grant is going to be utilized for transportation. So if you, I know Anna spoke about the DECA conference that some of our students attended last week, which is a conference for aspiring entrepreneurs, students going into marketing, potentially finance. So we had a group of students who attended that, and we're using this grant to pick up or cover the transportation for that. Next Wednesday, Mr. Macarini has organized a field trip to Porter and Chester, where any students who might be interested in going there as a trade school, they can sign up. I think we have somewhere around like 10 or 15 students currently signed up to go explore that. But the biggest chunk of the grant, how we're planning on utilizing it, is for just getting kids to these different spaces to give them the opportunities to hear about these different programs.
Are we getting buses for that? How does that work?
Yeah, so through the collaborative. Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Mass Hire Hampden County Workforce Grant. Yep.
Unrelated to the grant, because I was just at Mass Hire for MIFA Pathways training. I was just curious, made me think, I think we ought to be using MIFA Pathways by 2027. So, and so I was just curious. And there's also, they talked a lot about the different career pathway programs. So.
Yeah. So,
A long answer. I just.
no.
The innovative pathways, you mean?
So, MIPA, the state started talking about the MyCap.
MyCap.
Talking about MyCap. So they started the MyCap program a couple of years back. What they are rolling out now is their version of Naviance, which we utilize. Right now, we are planning on sticking with Naviance, which functions in a very similar way to what the MyCap program is. A big part of that is because right now Naviance also manages a lot of our college application process. So Mark also attended a training on the MyCap recently. And when he tried to get information about which districts might be using the MyCap program and how it might be getting utilized, they were told there might be one district on the other side of the state who might be using it. So we're not ready to jump into the MyCap program yet. I think you feel confident as a lot of the things we are already currently utilizing Naviance for is what is in the MyCap 4-year plan.
Westfield High is piloting.
They one of them?
I'm doing it.
Okay.
So they're piloting the curriculum, which starts in like 6th grade.
And Desi, if you remember the middle school pathway,
Right.
just a few meetings ago, we adopted. Desi slid MyCap in there as almost an aside.
Right.
So as they were presenting that this is something that all middle schools have to adopt, they never mentioned that MyCap was sitting in the middle of their template.
Does
that caught the superintendent's attention, and we were all discussing it as we were putting together that middle school pathway, because some of our guidance counselors at the high school level had started to get some training in MyCap, but almost zero guidance counselors at the middle level, at least in the LPVC, had any training on MyCap.
Yeah.
Now, so that's something we're starting to look at and start to embrace.
Does Westfield utilize Naviance?
They did. So, but they have a career center, a designated guidance counselor, essentially, that they have 3 pathways, like a health one, a CJ one, and
we don't have
engineering. And so that's when I saw this grant, I thought about, because they would obviously be using that to get them to the various sites and that sort of thing. But I'm working on developing the curriculum for 10th grade proactively to get them all in there, create a profile, start to do the interest values surveys, put all their goals in one place. It's just another tool. It's not cumbersome, and there really is a built out curriculum for all the different modules. And so it's just like putting it into a PowerPoint and coming up with some activities.
How you start line.
Yeah.
If it, I mean, it would be nice to save the money of what Naviance costs us. So
as a free tool, I mean, it links to ONET and a lot of the things that are also free. I mean, I think there's some other type focus, if a student's really undecided, inventories for fees that are maybe a little bit better, but in terms of just like a free platform, and they're really open to a lot of feedback. So I think if you had like one person who maybe is wanting to play around, like they're building out things based on the feedback that they're getting. So not to derail, but
will it eventually be potentially be able to utilize as that college application process? Is that their plan?
I think so. And it's supposed to link up. I mean, it is nice.
Like with the Common App and.
Yeah. And they can search, all links and then links to various different colleges that have the programs. And, I'm sure if you're paying for something, you're going to get a few more bells and whistles, but it's not a bad tool for.
Yeah.
And the idea is really the interaction that, because of the tool that the guidance counselor is having with the student too.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I think the challenge will be the switching over from Naviance to MyCap.
Yeah.
The guidance counselors, not just in East Long Meadow, but I think I can speak for, say, the LPVC, but it's probably even beyond that, are firmly entrenched in Naviance.
Yeah.
As are our students. And so it was interesting how Desi slid that into the middle school pathway to almost, exactly, to force that migration.
Well, you have 2 years.
Initially, to get the pathway, we had 2 months. So I think we've started discussions, and I know we've started discussions at the middle level, and in talking with our department chair at the high school, they had done some training a few years back, but
when it first got piloted. Yeah.
Correct. Not on the entire program. And so now it's seeing how we start to align.
We felt pretty confident going through the MyCap, that 4-year plan, that we hit on a lot of the things that they have. We're just, I don't know if we're ready to commit fully to the program itself.
I think gradually they're going to ramp up the pressure to slide us over.
I don't think we're going to have a choice. It's
Not gonna have-
okay.
Oh, yeah.
It was delivered, but I think the advantage of having someone, if someone can start to play around in it, is that you can have a say in building it. I mean, now's the time to give feedback. Once it's you all have to use it, it's gonna be like,
It's gonna be-
and we're done.
Yeah,
Here's what.
everybody's in.
Yeah.
So it probably makes sense not only for Mark, but maybe Shelby as well.
Yeah.
Start to look at that.
Um,
But my guess is you're gonna have work groups within the LPVC.
mhm.
Everybody's gonna be in the same boat.
Yeah, and I mean, like anything, you sort of would scale up, so you can start, if you're gonna start to use it, start to play around with with the guidance, whatever they're doing in ninth grade is maybe where you start trying to, start with one group, yeah.
Okay.
AG, Desi.
I just need you to officially.
I would take someone to move to accept the 2026 Connecting Activities Grant from the Mass Hire Hamden County Workforce Board in the amount of $4,000, please. Motion made by Antonella. Second by William. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. That motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Page.
Go. Great, thank you, guys.
Page.
Evan Rhodes room. It's growing on you. Okay, moving right along. We have discussion of the new superintendent search. Everyone got that email from Tracy? No. Okay. So we did get, as we asked Tracy to ask for people that would be interested in joining the committee. She did do the process and has forwarded 2 names to us. Those names are Leslie Morrison, who is a parent of students at the middle and high school, and Christina Cooper, who is a community member and librarian at East Long Meadow Public Library. And who's here with us tonight? Yep. And also the high school went about its process here in central office as well and appointed Anna Flanagan, or requested.
Give you some feedback on that if you like.
Yes, please.
So we did a form, we started with a form and soliciting response from the ELHS student body. Ultimately, we had 10 students who responded, and thank you to the incredible technological skill of Ms. Samantha Velasquez. We did a digital wheel. And we put all 10 names on the wheel, and Anna was the first name selected. And then we did, just in case, but I know Anna is committed, having spoken with her earlier this morning, to all the dates. But we have 2 individuals as alternates. So we have alternate 1, alternate 2, just in case.
Great.
So it was a good process, but I did want to make sure that people recognize that it was an objective random selection.
Nice.
Excellent.
Nice.
For the work that Tracy did, do we know how many people filled out the form,
Oh, the survey.
the survey?
That I don't know.
She did not mention.
I know it went out
Yes.
and I saw it in various places,
And it was up on the webpage.
town forum, I think all the PTO socials
Yeah.
had them out, yeah.
Yeah, she didn't mention how many. But she did say she would be contacting those that did not get picked as well, so. Any other questions on that? If we could appoint those 3, I would take someone to move that, please, to confirm Leslie Morrison, Christina Cooper, and Anna Flanagan to the Superintendent Screening Committee.
Still moved.
Second.
Motion made by Antonella, second by William. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. That carries 5-0. Are we done with that? No, we're not done. The final 2 spots we have are for school committee members, and we've allotted for 2 slots on that. So with that, who would be interested for one of the two slots? One,
Two,
two,
Three.
three. Okay. So how,
Yeah, I'm gonna use a randomize.
I can do it right now.
you have it?
I can pull it up.
I would actually like to make a motion, please. I'd like to make a motion to nominate myself and William Strother to the committee to select a superintendent.
second.
Okay, motion made by Amy, seconded by William. I would have preferred a random process myself, so I'm gonna actually vote against this one, but I just had to state that. Motion made and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
I mean,
What?
habit, sorry. Aye, aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay.
Nay.
Nay. And I mean, so that carries 3-2. Okay. That solves that. So I would entertain, well, I guess we just did. Okay. All right. Thank you all. So we have our full committee. We'll forward that to Tracy.
We can do that.
All the emails. Okay. Thank you. All right, new business. We have a discussion on the federal SNAP benefits being frozen as of November 1st. This, Pam?
Gordon was.
It was actually, you had asked to put it on, but I can tell you what we've done.
Go ahead, Greg.
So I had sent out just a notice. I think everybody's been talking about the government shutdown, and how it's starting to impact various things. Earlier, I think people were talking about how it's impacting air travel. But last week, going into the weekend, it started to impact many more individuals across the country, and certainly individuals in the state of Massachusetts, because the SNAP food assistance program is now impacted and was halted as of Saturday. We also know that if people are following it in the news, that there is a court decision to utilize the contingency funds, which may bring it back. That's going to take some time to get it back on track for at least a month.
Right.
The notice was basically just letting the ELPS community know that that is happening, which they probably already knew, but also where there are resources for them to utilize. And in terms of students, one of the nice things right now that has not been impacted is that all our students have the ability to have a free breakfast and a free lunch. That should not be touched at least through November and probably December. Can't speak beyond that, but right now we know that that's going to be true through those months. We also, in the discussion that we had the other day as we were setting the agenda, we touched base with all 5 schools, because generally right around this time, all of our schools get involved with food drives. One, which you heard today, I think Anna mentioned that the high school had already committed to the Mayflower Marathon. And that's certainly an incredible event, and I think it goes to the Springfield Food Pantry. Am I correct in that? Do you know?
I'm not sure. The flyer didn't say. So it just said to those in need.
Greater Springfield, or maybe it's the Western Mass.
Western
Mass Food Pantry, which certainly serves all of Western Mass, and so that's certainly going to be beneficial. Then Mountain View had already committed to raising and doing a drive for the Veterans Association. 3 of our schools, however, last week committed their drives to the East Long Meadow Food Pantry that's run out of our Council on Aging. So those drives are beginning either this week or next week, and for the most part will go up to Thanksgiving. So anyone in our audience or who received that message last week will be starting to collect food items, non-perishable food items at all schools. And depending on where you want to, or maybe you would want to hit all schools, hit Mayflower, support Mayflower Marathon, Mountain View, you can support the veterans, and at Maple Shade, Birchland, and Meadowbrook, you can support the East Long Meadow Food Pantry, which runs out of the Council on Aging.
You said we're in jeopardy of not having funding for breakfast in 2 months. Is that what you said?
We don't know what will happen after. We can speak through the end of December. So we don't.
They said that the reimbursements for.
Based on the government shutdown?
Basically,
If the government opens up, then
we
we'll
should
not. Okay,
Yeah, so we've collected reimbursement through December.
I see.
And even if they get started, is there still that delay? Meaning to restart everything?
We haven't heard about that piece. I don't, hopefully, since we're good through December, any delay would be if they can get started maybe this week, next week.
That's Gordon.
Yeah, I'm always hopeful. We would see less of delay.
Are they even in, is Congress even in session? I don't even think they're in
I
session.
think they're back in session a week from today. Yeah. They're back in town.
Bums.
They're back in town.
They're back in
Right, they're back in town.
To be in session.
Yeah.
Hopefully, tomorrow being election day, maybe that will generate some
Decisions.
Yeah. Anyway,
Aside from the general email, which our district was the first one to send it out.
Nice.
The other schools, I started asking what they were sending. Are we able to do any outreach to students, to families that we, students that we know might fall in a category where they're losing?
certainly that would probably come through more of each school itself, where they can start to break that down a little bit. That's a little bit harder, but it is something that we can start to talk about. Yeah, absolutely. We do know through food services a good deal in terms of who is eligible for certain services. We utilize that not only for food services, but we also utilize it in terms of any user fee for athletics, and certainly for any kind of transportation that we might be looking at. So that's something that we can start to look at and discuss as a leadership team.
I mean, I think the longer it drags on.
Right.
The more people it's going to impact.
Correct.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we have a pretty good fund
Um,
in food service as well. Not that we're looking to use that yet, but
So if folks out there, if their situations do change and they want to fill out, although we're a SEP district, which makes us free and, free meals for all of our students. But if somebody falls off of that and they need additional help, such as, and when I say this, it's transportation costs that could be reimbursed, it's athletic fees that could be reimbursed. If they wanted to call central office, I think it's on our website as well. There's an alternative funding form, income assistance form that actually those types of forms can no longer go through school lunch departments. They have to go through central office. So it's me looking at those with Gordon and making those decisions. So if folks need help, then they need to let us know and we can do our best to try to do that. I think what's really important in the message that Greg spoke to us about last week is that, your neighbors might need some help, and it's one of those things that are really difficult. I mean, I made some food this weekend and I delivered it to a few people in my neighborhood that I thought this is probably affecting them. You're not going to talk about it, but it's there. And I don't know, just for people to just be aware of that. And I think collectively what any of us can do to help.
I didn't notice, but your email had the community resources. Is that something that can go out through the social media, like the town, or is it in other places?
Sure.
We could.
I think,
Got 6,000.
I talked to Council on Aging, they have it up on their webpage. But we can put it on our webpage, and I'm sure that Ryan Quimby can send it out through social media.
Yeah, because I know the other spaces I have been in, I, did a quick search and it's not always easy.
It's a great
to
idea,
find.
Carrie. Yeah. I guess we were just thinking of getting it out, which is Gordon was the first one, as you said.
He was the first one.
He's good.
I made sure everyone knew it. My district's better.
Everybody was talking about it. I can't take full credit of that. We do have at least an LPVC superintendent chat, and so we were all talking about it. I just we acted on it faster.
Yeah, well, and the
Props.
districts have a much higher percentage of students who fall. And so that's why I asked the question.
Westfield.
46%.
Yeah.
So
Get the Holyoke.
surprisingly, we're, not surprising to me and,
Quarter, right?
yeah, we're getting close
30.
to 27%.
Yeah.
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 And so, yeah, that made me think like we send messages out to families to have kids in schools, but good to get it out all.
Yeah, well, you're right. Great.
We'll work on getting, the resources, posted as many places as we can.
And for the food drives, people can make monetary donations, right? Directly to food banks. I know that they were saying that that's sometimes better.
Nation, I think should go directly to, I don't know that, the offices want to get into collecting.
Right,
Yeah.
yes. No, I'm not suggesting that, but I know I saw somewhere that in some cases that's
Sure.
for the food banks, they can get.
Senior Center,
Council on Aging.
Council on Aging,
Yeah, and
Food
the-
Bank,
Food bank.
and that would be the check.
I would call, there's a number that I'd put out that I would call to speak with them and ask how it specifically could be designated to that. It'd be similar, I would think, to say when someone is looking to donate money, but they want it specifically to go to, say, the music program.
Right.
And so we ask them to make it to the East Long Meadow Public Schools, but then in the memo, indicate that it's for the music program, and then it can go to the gift account with that designation.
Because they're often able to then get fresh produce and, other
Right.
things that, are needed. So that's why I just brought that.
No, that's a great point.
Okay,
A lot of interdepartmental connection in town, as you can see.
yeah. All right, thank you for that discussion, and we'll continue to follow up.
Bringing it up in these settings, that was helpful.
Yeah, no, it's important, so glad we're on it. Okay, moving along, we have 7.2 Superintendent's Individual Educator Plan for 25-26 school year.
So in your packets, I put together my plan for this school year, which is more or less a culmination of a lot of what you've heard over the last few meetings. It does incorporate all the district goals, but then it also gets into some specifics around, well, in this case, making sure that this construction project stays on schedule and moving forward. And we don't advertise as much, with the exception of when we're presenting sort of at the beginning, the mid-cycle and so forth. But we're also in the Mass School Building Authority Accelerated Repair Program right now for a roof replacement at Maple Shade. And so that is currently at the point where we're finishing off developing the schematic design. We have to submit that in December to the MSBA with the hope that they approve it. And then if they approve it at a board meeting in February, I believe, February.
I believe it's February.
I think it's February. They don't have a January board meeting. Then we would, as a town, go back to the town council and we would vote to appropriate the full amount. However, right now, I believe our reimbursement rate is very similar to the project that we're in with the high school, about 56.5% of eligible costs. They'll re-establish that as we get closer so that we'll know exactly what it would be for this project. Those are the highlights really of the. I could go page by page if you want.
Unnecessary.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessary.
Is it page turner? Page
Turner.
Thank you.
I'm sure it is.
I take someone to move to accept the superintendent's individual educator plan for 25-26 school year, please. Made by Antonella.
You're just saying it, everything that you're supposed to.
Second. I'm in it up for you. Second by William. Any other discussion? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Carries 5-0.
Thank you very much.
You. Item 7.3, we have an 8th grade MIA waiver for winter sports.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's an informational memo in your packet. In the last few years, we've had to do waivers, and Mr. McGee has been very good at tracking this to see how many folks, say from eighth grade, have actually utilized the waiver. So you can see, say, for swimming and diving on the boys' side, we just had one in 2023, but then we had five last year in 2024. And on the girls' side, one in 2023, zero for last year. Skiing is where we have our lowest numbers. That's been challenging over the last few years. And wrestling actually has come up. If you remember, probably 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago now, we almost didn't have a wrestling program. We had 2 or 3 wrestlers total. So we're excited that it's coming up, but unfortunately, we're down 2 from the previous or from the recommended number. Cheerleading, that's a first one. First that we've had cheerleading on here. And that's something that Mr. McGee is also starting to track. And then finally, ice hockey. This was JV only. And you can see last year we used 4 individuals in the 8th grade, took advantage of it. And previous year, 5 individuals took advantage of it.
I just don't know what the kids are doing. Or are they all in like club sports?
It's outside of skiing, which I think it's a combination of lack of snow and the amount of time that you have to put in terms of practicing. But swimming, it seems, and certainly Anna, jump in if you have greater insight on this. Swimming has, I didn't mean to put you on the spot with that. In terms of discussion that you may have with fellow students. Swimming, I think they're swimming for private programs, and then what they may take part in at the high school, that still allows them to run indoor track. So we do see a lot of doubling up with that type of thing. Wrestling has been up and down over the years, and hockey is just a unique sport. I think
a varsity team.
Yeah, they can always field a varsity team, but it's challenging to field the JV team. And we know that our hockey families, they're playing probably on multiple teams. To keep going.
If we don't get some numbers in specifically skiing, not run the program at 3 and 4 members,
we would have to look at going to a co-op, most likely. Where we would
join in there.
Yeah, we combine with another
school.
That's actually what we do with women's hockey right now. We're in a co-op program.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Longmeadow and Pope Francis, maybe.
That's right.
And there might be one other town that joined us.
So girls from all 4 of those schools are all on one.
A team, yeah. I don't think it's called the Spartans.
Dancers. Has their own team. We don't go to them. We go to them.
Okay. Sorry. Thank you.
I mean,
See, that's
my whole family.
Anna.
So
She knew hockey, not
plays in their Pope team. So
Generally, when you co-op, just as Anna explained there, one school is your foundation school. So we're the Lancers.
yes, yeah.
It's really painful, but we are.
So they get to play.
That is true. They do get to play.
We need to move to approve.
please.
I move to approve the 8th grade MIA waiver for winter sports as presented.
Motion made by Antonella. Second by William. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. That carries 5-0.
Let Mr. McGee know so he can proceed.
Item 7.4, review policy revisions for the following policies: JF school admissions and JFABD student experiencing housing insecurity enrollment rates.
Okay, so in your packets, we have versions of both of those policies. The policies we're looking at this evening, the policy subcommittee has reviewed and made some recommendations on. And this is in conjunction with a recent audit that we are undergoing with the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education around student support services and civil rights. So their recommendation as they were reviewing policies was to update these two policies. And then as we get to the agenda item that's coming up next, add a policy which we did not have around concerning students or children in foster care. So with school admissions, the only thing that we really need to update is the yellow, the cross references to other policies that we have in our policy manual. So it's adding, which currently we do not have the policy in the policy manual. It's adding those cross references to JLCA, JLCB, JFBB, JFABD, and then JFABF.
We'll do one at a time. Questions on school admissions to file JF? If not, I would take someone to move to approve the revisions.
I move to approve the policy revisions for the following policies, JF.
That's one, just the one. That's the only one we have so far.
I'll go through this one and.
School admission.
Yep, thank you. Motion made by Antonella.
Second.
Second by William. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. That carries 5-0.
Thank you. So the revisions, this actually had a really good discussion at the policy subcommittee meeting. We had a policy that was, I think originally termed homeless students, and enrollment rights and services. And as we were discussing it, it came up that, maybe it's more appropriately and, more respectfully stated, students experiencing housing insecurity. So that was one element that was changed throughout the policy. And then what I tried to do for both the policy subcommittee members and all of you was just show where the policy was in its first or its original draft and where things were changed. And that's where you see some of the green writing, if that's making sense to everybody. And the big part of this, beyond the changing in wording around homeless students to students experiencing housing insecurity, was really reorganizing it to make it a little bit easier to go through and understand. So it was the structure where you picked up headings such as students remaining in schools of origin, students enrolling in district where sheltered or temporarily residing, dispute resolution, and so forth. A lot of the meat of the policy remains, it's just now reorganized.
There's a couple of typos.
Thank you for catching those.
And
Use AI to find them.
and I know typically people are using unhoused, and I see like collectively homeless students, like, I don't know if what's consistent in the state or.
So actually, in looking at the policies that are online with the Mass Association of School Committees, kind of all over the map.
Yeah.
Some have changed the language in this way and some have kept homeless students. But we're open, I think, and certainly any members of the policy subcommittee, that's Mr. Strother, Ms. Delenta, and Ms. Blair and Ms. Brown and myself are on that committee. So anyone can jump in and offer thoughts.
I mean, the language worked for me, and I agree. I actually did a little AI searching and I kind of felt the same way. That the language, the homeless just didn't seem right. Well, it doesn't work.
unhoused,
Certainly at the collegiate level, I would say we refer to students as being unhoused.
okay. Instead of students experiencing housing insecurity?
Yeah, housing insecurity, it would also be, could be fine, but I saw a couple, I mean, I think you'd made change it, but there's,
Homeless is still in there is what you're saying.
yeah, and under this third sentence, collectively home, I don't know if you're, if that's there because you're referring to how it was previously or.
I did leave that because that's exactly right. Yeah, that's how the
Okay.
state was still referring to it or defining it.
Yeah. No one is using homeless.
Yeah.
Right. I think they changed it and then they went back to it, right?
I also think it's appropriate because unhoused, I think, it lists all these different ways in terms of housing insecurity. I think even kids who are living with somebody else's family, but it's not a stable environment, then, they don't have their own housing, but they're still in a house, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So just kind of being all encompassing.
In terms of switching it for every time homeless is being used, in some cases it works, in some cases it's challenging because DESI still refers to our person, in this case for ELPS, it's the student, the Director of Student Support Services, who is our homeless liaison. I can't change that designation to something else. However, I do see in other areas I can.
Right, like information regarding a homeless student's living arrangement, there's a couple, I mean, if you just control F for homeless, there might be spaces where we.
Do that, yeah.
use that.
Happy to make those changes.
So you're asking for any reference to homeless to be changed to unhoused?
Or for some discussion, because I just think it's becoming antiquated to use homeless.
Yeah, no, I'm agreeing with you. That's what you're
Yeah.
proposing. Yeah. Any other comments? Questions? Anna, how you doing time wise? Homework or anything? You're good? Okay, we're almost there, I promise. Not running hot. If at any time you have to leave, you just wave and, okay, thank you.
I'm thankful that you're here because you corrected me on the hockey.
Wow, yeah. it's
If you only knew about swimming. Skiing, which one I forget? Swimming.
She'll do her homework for the next meeting.
All right, I would entertain someone to move to approve the changes to JFAB D, including the amendment to modify the word homeless to unhoused where appropriate.
Still move.
Okay, motion made by Antonella, second by Will. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. That carries 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, moving on, we have a review of the draft of a new policy, educational opportunities for students in foster.
So this was a policy that we actually did not have in our manual. So we did discuss it at the policy subcommittee level. It's something that certainly DESI would like us to have in our policy manual. And it does capture practices that we are undertaking in the district. We just never have had an overarching policy regarding these practices.
Questions, comments?
The language from this come from like similar policies at other.
This is directly from the MSC model policy. Yeah. You will.
You do first reading typically.
You're certainly welcome to do it first reading and second reading on something like this. Absolutely. It's the.
This is our first review. Gone through it.
Yeah, I mean, typically we do a first reading, we can bring it back, but if you want, we could accept it too. It's not very controversial.
No, it's not.
So I'll take a motion if you want, or not.
What's the body? Oh, I mean, what's the body want? Does the body want a second read?
Yeah, no, move it. Get it off the agenda.
Oh, and it's written as such that, you know, they're gonna make a best determination, so we're gonna keep them in the district if they want to stay, or they can choose to go wherever their foster home is, so I think it's fine.
Right, I make a motion that we approve the education opportunities for students in foster care, file number JFABF.
Motion made by William,
Second.
second by Carrie. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. Carries 5-0. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
7.6, review and discuss the 2025-2026 capital year plan.
Okay, so in your packets, there is a multi-page 5-year plan. Most of it you've seen in terms of projects that have been on the plan for a while. However, there are some new projects that have emerged as we work with the Department of Public Works and we work with each school. There are projects that have jumped up in terms of urgency. For instance, Mountain View is probably the best example. One that had not been on the 5-year plan, but now is actually the number one project for Mountain View is repaving the access road around the school. That's not only because the access road was beginning to become in disrepair, but also because we have broken ground on the modular replacement project. Part of the access road is now gone.
Right.
So when that project finishes, we will need to have an access road that is repaved around. So we got a cost estimate on that, worked with the Department of Public Works. That's $151,817. What I tried to do for each of the schools is give you their number one and possibly number two priority. Let me just highlight for you some of the other new items. Last year at Maple Shade, as they were going through somewhat of a security audit, as we plan different safety and security drills, they had discussed the idea, they have so much glass in the front of their building, but all the windows around the building obviously could use this tinting. And so they did go get a price on window tinting, a film that not only tints, but also increases the.
None of our schools have this. Why are we spending $38,000 on tint?
Just something that, as each school goes through their own safety planning, but they come together. It's just something that they would like to do.
No tinting.
And
it seems a
bullet impact film.
Like,
anyway, I'm just giving you.
What about the stick build? Is this a new thing? Why is this on here? $3 million for the Maple Shade?
That's been on there. That was.
Why
We don't have enough space.
We're never gonna get that though. We're never gonna get 3 million for modulars. Why would we put this on the list?
What's been on the.
I know, but we're never gonna get it.
But don't we want to show what our real needs are? I mean, aren't we?
I mean, we're definitely at Maple Shade because it's the smallest in terms of square footage.
It's $1.5 million per classroom. And there's no way they're ever gonna get that. We need a different strategy.
Okay.
I think. I just don't think it's futile.
Can I?
The council is 1.5. Oh, you have. We're gonna do it?
More. No, just
he's got funding, so never mind.
I don't have funding. I just need you to know the urgency of some that are new. So if you go to Birchland Park, when we came out of the inspections at the beginning of the school year, end of August, right before school start, their fire alarm system is now 25 years old and struggling to get parts. So the recommendation, although it's working, is that be replaced. And so we did go ahead and get a quote on that. And that's $100,254. that one. I would say even that the urgency and the emergency element of that was one that the committee should certainly look at in terms of prioritization. This will obviously come back. You don't have to finalize this in this meeting. We'll come back and then this.
How much money do we have?
It's really up to the town in terms of how much money. that
Typically,
they-
it's $1 million a year, and typically we get about half of it, but that's overgeneralizing, but just as a point of reference. Oh, that's why, is this VCT floor tile thing new? The 498,000 BP removal and replace 28?
That's been on there.
Yeah.
It's not something that they're seeing as urgent.
That bad? We have $500,000 of tiles that need to be replaced.
We're tasked with making sure that people are aware as buildings continue to age, what will need to be replaced at some point.
Deferred maintenance just gets more and more expensive.
Right, but it goes back to my point. So we get $500,000 a year. That one will never get funded. Never. It will never be funded.
Is there a fund
No, it's
for the turf? Maybe we should start one.
Just to finish off, the last one that's highlighted, the district-wide bleachers, we did, through Senator Oliveira's office, have a supporter in terms of asking through the supplemental budget last year for $150,000. They had asked a few different districts that State Senator Oliveira represents for capital projects that have been on their capital plan for numerous years. And if people remember, the stadium bleachers on the visitors side were actually part of the 2011 field replacement project and it couldn't be accomplished in terms of trying to match the home side bleachers with bleachers that are similar on their away side. That never happened. Unfortunately, there were elements of that project that had to be set up in a contingency if there were funding available at the end of the project, that they would then fund those things. And there were a number of items that didn't get funded. This is one of them. So we do have $150,000 that has been approved that we can put towards it. And so Mr. McGee is working on that as to how we utilize that grant. The $148,000 is actually last year's price. So we're getting pricing to see what we can get for $150,000 and make sure it can fit on the away side, because there's a small area of concrete over there and you have not a great deal of space between the outer fence and then the field itself, interior fence. I think I hit all the ones that I needed to bring to your attention.
What's the strategy for the turf? Do we have one?
The strategy initially was hopefully that was something that the town, with the help of possibly the community preservation. However, you have to be very careful with asking for community preservation funds because it can't go directly to the replacement carpet itself. It can go to, as far as I understand it, sort of supporting cost.
Do we know how much that would be out of the 911?
Not a good deal, a good amount of that. Most of it would have to come from capital.
Are we picking these things tonight?
No, this is your first run at it. And I do have to state that at the end of the day today, I received an email, which I will then add to this, from DPW, indicating that our inverters at Birchland that deal with our emergency lighting. So when you lose power, your emergency lighting comes on. 3 of the sections need new batteries. What I'm hoping DPW will do with us is separate the areas that need new batteries versus the area that needs to be fully replaced. The way the email read this afternoon, they want to wrap it all into one project, which would then make it a capital project because it would be over the $20,000 threshold. However, my question back was, if we're dealing with emergency lighting and there are sections that we can bring online now, when you are in need of, that possibility, one never knows when your power will go out. The hope would be we could do that with maintenance funds this year. So I have to get that
Out of
question.
what budget?
Well, DPW has our maintenance funding.
They would have the less than
That I don't
20,000.
know. That's why I'm.
Well, I mean, that's exactly what it's for. And so they want to push it up to a capital project, but shame on them. Like, let's fix what's there with the money we have.
So,
Because we're not going to get it as a capital project.
So that was my email back was, I think
okay.
we need to discuss, that, how do we not combine these two, but separate the two? And I know that their budget, generally, their maintenance budget gets pretty well exhausted, close to at least 50% just coming out of the summer into September. I think we're beyond 50%. I think we're somewhere.
Talking 15 grand.
60%. That's the hope, 10 to 11.
They've got it.
And
Back
what
order
we
on that.
have done in past discussions when they're starting to run through their maintenance budget is we look at where we might be able to pull from, say, custodial or other building accounts to supplement.
Not this year, though.
This year will be a little bit more challenging because those accounts are being
Depleted.
bolstered by school choice money.
This is not good stuff.
So it's a longer discussion, but I did want to bring that to your attention because that came at 3:04 PM. And I did mention that I can't just add something to the capital plan.
Well, and what needs to be done is not worthy of a capital project, right? What needs to be done is less than $20,000. What needs to be done?
You do have a system that needs to be replaced in there. That's going to be over. That's going to be somewhere around 27,000. But
in addition to the
replacing the batteries, we can probably get those three sections. Yeah. I think we can get done.
The system needs replacement as well.
In one
They're saying.
section.
That's what they're saying.
One section.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they break down the cost of the batteries.
Right.
Yeah, no, I have it in two projects. So the full replacement for that one section is 27,000 and the replacement of the batteries is $10,787. So I had emailed back saying that can we do the battery replacement out of maintenance and have a discussion around that and then put the other one if it's not going to impede safety on the capital plan. So that discussion, I'm sure will probably take place tomorrow. I felt since we're discussing capital planning that you all needed to know it.
Thanks, Gordon.
I like to bring all the good news that I can.
I'm just curious, in terms of like the window tinting, like, are there grant opportunities around like safety or proactive measures that?
There are smaller grants for that type of thing, generally not to the level of 37,000, but yeah, there are. In years past, we've gotten, generally it's smaller grants that we maybe would get from one of the local banks. That might give us 5,000 towards doing something.
I didn't know if there's things like through, I don't know, Sandy Hook Promise or whatever that we could.
I haven't seen grants of that nature, but they definitely want you to utilize their systems. And they may give you support.
But I've never heard of tinting windows. Have you heard that? No.
I have not, but I'm just curious. I'm understanding what you're saying, but I'm also thinking that something like that seems like something that there might, with a lot of the different not-profit agencies that are out there.
It's too big of a ticket item, I think.
From a grant perspective, not as a capital,
We can certainly look into that.
But I think we just don't want to glare over the fact that it's not just tinting, it's actual impact resistant, or it has some kind of bullet resistant, or.
Yeah, I would.
It's a waste of $38,000. If you ask me, and I'm not a professional on security, but we're building a brand new high school. We're not putting any of this stuff in it.
I was just gonna ask that, is that
Zero.
that something that
Regular E.
is now,
That's the question, Pam. It's regular E glass. So this is somebody who's like, you know what you should do? Tint all your windows and spend $38,000 of taxpayers' money, which will never get funded again. We'll never fund it.
and I'm not necessarily suggesting we are, I'm just curious.
I know. Well, and we should take the modulars off. We're never gonna fund that. How will we ever fund that?
Well, they're making it their number one thing.
But reality, here's reality, never gonna get funded. Zero chance of that ever getting funded. $3 million for 2 rooms.
I mean, it took a long time, but we did get it.
We wouldn't have done it at Mountain View if we had this price that we got now.
So you're just committing to large class sizes?
Yes, or another solution, but building 2 rooms at a time is not the way to do it at $3 million. Because A, we won't do it, and B, it's a lot of money for 2 rooms. $3 million, not even the size of this. They're not gonna fund it. The town will not fund it. We fund $1 million a year, half of it to the schools.
Given enrollment trends in the size of the middle school, is there ever possibility to have swing space since they're in such close proximity to each other?
Good question.
I just think in terms of planning, I don't know.
I mean, the challenge with,
Children, I'm not sure, at least there might be a period of time where that's a Band-Aid of some sort.
you'd probably have to do something around, some of your less frequently meeting
Right.
elements. The modulars right now that are on there are regular classrooms. So they have a homeroom classroom. They're meeting throughout the day. But we could look at space for other things, say music or some of the other specials maybe.
I just think we should be realistic on what we can get. That's what we should ask for. We shouldn't ask for $5 million of projects.
I'm certainly.
No, I know, Gordon. I know you're just putting it out there, but
That's their wish list, so we have to.
Correct.
You have what your wish list is.
Between this meeting and the next meeting, where I'll have more information on the inverter stuff, we ultimately have to, or you all have to prioritize what you would like me to present to the town. And then I package that up, present it to the
we're
town.
gonna have to come up with an idea on the turf because it needs to be done.
Yeah. They had,
What have other districts done? I mean, this is an expensive project for everyone when this happens. Are there like, sponsors or?
I haven't seen a lot of that. Generally, they'll just go through the capital planning,
Oh, yeah.
We have signage on the scoreboard,
Yeah.
put you on the.
Give you a blimp.
Jersey's nice. Challenging. West Springfield probably will be the next group up because they're rapidly, when did they have their building project? It's, it's when they get that turf. And then it goes into your capital planning.
Should have put it in the
Holyoke,
project.
Holyoke was one of the first school systems to have a field that was an artificial turf field. And I think it took them 14, 15 years to finally replace.
How old is ours?
Ours was put in 2011. So it's that.
Never there too.
Yeah.
Do we have anything in the revolving account for rentals?
No.
Yeah, rentals, no. Yeah, well.
What are the guidelines around that? There must be at a point where we can't play on it because it's not.
Basically.
It's the only field we have.
Is somewhere.
I'm only familiar with collegiate level. I'm just.
Is somewhere between 12 and say 14 years, but with a maintenance program, which we do utilize, we're constantly patching and establishing areas that are identified as.
I mean, I hate to say it, but that should be our number one priority.
Yeah, I think last year.
Taking that field offline would be absurd the day we open this building. Right? Here's a brand new high school. By the way, you can't use the field.
Anyone ever build it into, I know it's like in the town budget and it's annual, but like it's a big expense, like, at a, I don't know.
We don't have $1 million in the building budget.
There should be a field fund.
That's right. That's what I'm.
How's it
saying.
funded?
There's a certain amount of money that comes out of the budget every year. So then you know that in 15 years, you're gonna have the money.
It don't work that way though. It doesn't work that way.
We can't put money like, we can't put money.
Well, we have a revolving account for this,
Uh-huh.
but we've used it
For other things, right?
for other things.
Well, we have a revolving account for
Rentals.
Rental.
rentals, but people don't generally rent it too
Not like
much.
they used to.
Yeah.
Right.
And no, in terms of other schools, nobody else, they just come up with $1 million when they need it or whatever.
No, I think it takes them, it's similar conversations. I don't think they get it in the first year of asking. But they put it on their capital plan and it's
Then it'll take the year.
these type of discussions that,
More gets pushed out, then
The-
it's another year.
I think this gets more interest when it gets into the town discussion because rec uses it as well. So it's something that is going to be a need. I think that correct, and I think that the discussion the last 2 years has been, well, let's not do anything to take it offline while we're going through this project. So it didn't rise to the town's capital planning as the number one project. But I think it will soon.
Well, that's,
Building goes
I
online.
guess I'm not discounting it's important, but since it's not just for the schools, I think
It's a larger.
it's problematic that there might be things in the instructional environment that need to be addressed, and we're going to prioritize a field.
I agree with you.
And then
So-
afterwards, would turn around and say, well, we're gonna put that much money into a field. But then what would be?
But we don't
the
have,
cost
we're
of-
going to have huge class size, a larger class size.
Class
It just
size.
seems,
We got floors that are damaged and somebody tripped,
Well-
an actuary would say that that's a problem.
I mean,
There's one thought to take care of what we have versus to add more, right? So to add more modular classrooms is an expense on top of an expense. We have to take care of the fields.
Right.
I'm looking at like fire sprinklers. I mean, I think that there are things here that are
Yeah, no, I say we
important.
keep that one on.
And I'm not saying that the turf isn't, but
No, I think we keep the turf on there, the fire suppression, the access road, which, whatever.
But even with the turf, where are we, when we look at like the fire suppression and various things.
Yeah.
Have we looked at like, where is the turf at right now? Are we at the point where we're totally at the end of life?
I mean,
The recommendation is that we look to renew soon. But the group that does our maintenance is keeping it going. They give us different packages, if you will, in terms of what they can do to revitalize it between the end of play in the spring and the start of play in the fall. And depending on what we have left in our athletic budget, we commit a certain amount to do that.
But I agree with you, Greg, at that point, how do you open a building up and we can't use a field?
Yeah.
Well, and part of the issue is gonna be though, if we do fund it, we can't really take it offline until these fields are done, right?
Correct. You can't take it off.
But we're still
Why they
a year,
didn't
but
want to get into putting it as the number one. This was now the town. Once, so that everybody's aware, once the school committee prioritizes and each department prioritizes their capital plan, then it all gets submitted to the town manager, and then the town capital planning committee calls in departments one by one to discuss their priority list for the next fiscal year. We've always had the field replacement on there, not necessarily as number one, but we've had it on there, and it always gets discussion. Last year's discussion was more about, this is probably not something we should take on while the high school is being built, because fields are offline now. We're utilizing that more so than we ever have, and we'll need to do so through at least one more season.
we are gonna put the two fields back on the building, right?
Correct.
That's the plan.
Yep.
So those will come on in,
Hopefully the fall of,
Following year.
did you say fall of?
Yeah.
If they're sodded, possibly the fall of 26, late fall or spring of 27.
yeah.
Yeah, could be.
I'm just curious, you're right, Greg. Town council typically just is like $1 million, $1.5 million for capital projects, but they also have free cash. a pretty substantial amount, which is for one-offs, right? Like they don't want to use it for the operating budget. They don't want to, and understandable, that's not best practice. But couldn't some of these very important things be talked about with the town? I mean, that's to have those discussions. Maybe they would allocate X amount of that free cash for these projects,
I think it's gonna have to be for the turf.
right?
Yes. Yep.
I guess
And
what a carry to.
question, Pam, is this the right year though, right? So if we push for the funding,
Was it free cash 13 million?
yeah, no, it's the right year for free cash. I agree. Is it the
Yeah.
right year to go after the stadium now in order to
I
fund
think
it
it's worth a discussion.
next fiscal year?
Yeah, but we don't,
But it's in time, right? So if we push for funding, we get funding, it's will still be on time, right?
It depends on how long it takes them to replace it. Because you wouldn't be able to, so it'd be July 1 would be the first chance you have to
Right.
touch that money. It would be faster, obviously, if it's coming from free cash, because all you have to do is set up a capital account. But you really have then July to the end of August to get that field.
Well, we're not getting it done this summer.
how long does it
Next summer.
really take?
I'd have to find that out.
I mean, I see most of this is just facilities master planning and knowing when, like how much money we're gonna have and how to prioritize some of the facilities issues that we have to ensure that we have a safe environment for.
Yes.
Yeah, which is why we,
So I would hate to see that, like, a major one-off project deters what should be strategic facilities master planning, so that then something else becomes.
but it can, and it does. I agree with you. It shouldn't.
I guess I would still ask for things.
Well, but I think Pam's right. We have to go after the free cash for the turf and the rest out of the operating budget. Yes.
We'll just put a plug in that we're going to need help with the regular budget, given that we have $450,000 from school choice money supporting our supply line
Yeah.
accounts.
So, yeah, so we should keep capital light relatively, right? But I think the strategy is to push for the turf, the alarm system, the access road, and the Meadowbrook. We probably wouldn't get that. We're way over. I mean, we're gonna get the turf if we get it, which 50-50.
Out of free cash.
Yeah, and probably the fire alarms.
Right, so that covers the whole,
But that's what we got.
and that's it.
I don't know.
Be over $1 million.
Yeah, it's all
But you said $1.5 million sometimes, right?
total though.
That's total.
District total, town wide.
Yeah.
We get half. The schools usually get half.
That's the entire, yeah.
And it's usually millions.
They did
sometimes million.
create a capital planning fund, didn't they? Last year?
Don't start on that either.
Sorry. Okay.
That's a mess too.
Like.
I just don't, I'm sorry, I don't.
Started. Don't get
They
us
built the fund to only use, like, if you're either gonna use it or not use it, right? So once they use it, it's empty. Like, I don't get the point of that fund. But they're not gonna use it.
Okay. Neither here nor there.
Thank you, Antonella.
Carrie, were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, like the Meadowbrook fire suppression system and all, like, we know the lifeline or the timeline of whatever, at what point do things become urgent, important, crisis, and not just aspirational capital projects?
Right. So I think, with, say, the Mountain View modular replacement, there probably, because there is a sprinkler system going into that, those two new rooms that are being built, the town's probably going to have to look at moving at least Mountain View's fire suppression system up from, say, FY 31 to something sooner. Because that's, they already had to ask for a waiver on that, so that we're not outfitting the entire building with a suppression system, just construction.
Well, we're not deciding this tonight.
We are not. No, it's just for.
We are not in good discussion.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Let us know if you get any more emails.
Okay.
Try to bring back cheery news next time.
Oh, boy.
All right.
All right. Okay, moving on. 7.7, appoint school committee representative for paraprofessional negotiations. Who wants to do this?
I wouldn't mind doing it. If someone else wants to do it, they can do it, but
Okay.
didn't we just do their?
3 years ago. This is the third year.
I was like, oh,
What we did do is we were very successful in moving that contract from a really less competitive contract to a much more competitive.
remember that.
3 years.
That's what I
So
remember.
we are
I didn't
feeling good about that.
remember it was
Um,
ago.
I'm sure that there will be things that we get into discussion on, but we are feeling like we're much more competitive when you look at our paraprofessional contract versus other paraprofessional contracts. We have to put together that whole portfolio again, but
I am too close to that
Oh.
to do it, I think.
you live too close?
No, I,
Oh.
I'm
Oh, I'm like confused. Idea.
right.
So,
Yeah, if no one else wants to do it, but.
Okay, take a motion, please.
Make a motion to appoint Antonella on the for the school committee representative for the paraprofessionals negotiation.
Motion made by William,
Second.
second by Carrie. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. That carries 5-0.
We're still in the very preliminary stages. They're putting together their team and as well as we're doing our research right now. So generally, you start either late December or early January.
All right.
No, I can't believe it's been 3 years already.
You know, time flies when you're having fun and you're
Guess so.
building things.
Okay, finally on our agenda tonight. This was an addition to the agenda. Many of you may have noticed it was added late. But because it is a timely issue and it
Is out of state.
is out of state, it had to come to the school committee. The date is November 7th through the 9th. Yes.
Let's see date.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm going. So
Um,
I'd like to go.
Well, not yet, you're not.
You know,
We do have to apologize because these should be more timely. This any field trip goes through nursing in terms of looking at the roster and potential nurses that are needed and meds that might be needed. It also goes through the building principal and then it goes through here in central office looking for cost estimates for transportation. This was submitted, I learned about it on Friday, unfortunately, but it was submitted back on the 1st, which when I finally saw that date, I was a little bit less excited as I had been when I originally realized that we had an out-of-state field trip that was not brought to your attention before this meeting. So the other piece that was somewhat of a mitigating circumstance, at least for me, was the fact that generally the Model UN and Model Congress, they've been hosted by local colleges, whether it's Springfield College or AIC or Western New England. I think this is then, correct me if I'm wrong, Anna, you have been great tonight correcting me. I think this is the first time we're going to UConn.
This is the 3rd year we're going to UConn.
and you go all weekend?
Yes, we do. It's it starts at like 5 at night on Friday and then it ends at 10. We have to be back at 9:30 on Saturday, ends at 10, back at 9:30 on Sunday, ends at 10.
Wow.
What
Wow.
transportation are you guys using?
We're all carpooling.
Oh.
But there's only like
Did estimate buses for you.
there's only like 15 of us and half of us drive, so it's not really a problem.
You hear the enthusiasm?
Should they give you ice cream?
They do, yeah. We get our lunch through the student union. So
Oh, fun.
yeah.
Sweet.
Oh, all right, I guess.
Enjoy it. Yeah. Because of you. Just because of you.
Have Anna here.
Yeah.
I know.
No, it's not no.
I make a motion to approve the East Long Meadow High School field trip to UConn.
Motion made by Carrie. Second by William. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. That carries 5-0.
We expect a full report when you next meeting.
Award.
They're,
Oh,
Ellen, no?
What awards?
Yeah, for like, we have to all write papers, we have to go, there's like 10 committee sessions, they're all like 2 hours long.
It's pretty.
It's really, but it's also a learning conference, so like kids who first, like it's their first year, like it's really good for them too.
You went last year.
I didn't go last year, I went my sophomore year, but it was like so fun.
Oh, so it's.
You've done Model Congress before?
Grades.
Yeah, I've done 4 years.
You've done Model Congress.
Yes, I went to AIC my freshman year, Westfield State my sophomore year. Last year I had some circumstances I couldn't go to anything. Yes, yeah.
Have a great time.
Thank you so much.
Okay, with that, we have come to the conclusion of our meeting. Thank you, Anna, for being here. I would entertain someone to move to adjourn, please.
I move to adjourn.
So, second. By Carrie, second by William. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. That motion carries 5-0. Thank you. We are adjourned. Yeah, you send that.